I am doing my field presentation over Counseling for Change. That is where I am currently interning at, and my name is Catherine Karen. I want to start off by giving a history of Counseling for Change. It is a nonprofit organization that was first established in 2002 in Vanderburgh County, Indiana. Their mission was to work with the court systems in Vanderburgh County and the surrounding areas in order to bridge the gap in substance abuse treatment. Many people were having to wait too long. They were waiting months before they could get in to receive the substance abuse treatment. And so, in partnership with the court system, Counseling for Change began serving that population. They have since moved to 3 locations, one in Evansville, Indiana, one in Vincennes, Indiana, and one in Washington, Indiana. And then just something that was interesting that I learned was that Counseling for Change began in a donated space in the basement of the Evansville Housing Authority. So they had a very humble beginning, but they've since expanded to 3 locations. So I thought that was pretty interesting. The population that Counseling for Change serves is the population of addictions, and that can be broken up into many different subcategories, and I have listed those here. Substance abuse, gambling addiction. They also have many clients that are referred through DCS or the Department of Child Services. They are very involved with the criminal justice system, and that means that people can be referred there from probation. They have clients that go there through work release, house arrest, and then also people that have been court-ordered there through bond. And then they also are in partnership with different inpatient treatment facilities and provide services to the clients within those facilities. The different services that they render within the substance abuse treatment model, I have just kind of laid out here the process. First, the Counseling for Change office will receive a referral for a client. Upon receiving that referral, they will contact that client and do an intake with them. At that intake, that is where all the personal information is filled out, like insurance forms, grant forms. They offer various types of grants that people can get to pay for treatment if they don't have insurance to pay for their treatment, because they want to lessen the burden of the financial burden on the clients that may not have the money to pay for the services. After intake and all their paperwork and all their funding sources are in order, they are scheduled for an assessment with a therapist. And in that assessment is when they will do the history and the background and kind of come up with a treatment model or treatment plan for that individual client. After that treatment plan has been made, they will then go through orientation, which is where they will have a chance to agree with that treatment plan and ask questions about the treatment plan. From the treatment plan, they can either be referred to group therapy, which is the Matrix model, IOP. So they would do group 3 times a week most of the time. And then after Matrix is done, they will go to MRT, which is moral recognition training. And then there's also an option for a trauma group that they have just recently put in place for individuals that have a background of traumatic experiences. They may also be referred for individual therapy, and the individual therapy can be broke down into different categories. So some of them are just life skills, individual life skills sessions. Some are psychotherapy, which gets more into the mental health. And then also they have trauma-informed counselors, which have been trained in EMDR, which is a widely accepted treatment for trauma therapy. My field instructor is Mike McKay, and he is a licensed clinical social worker. He is also my supervisor, so he is the one that does both for me, which I think makes it a little bit easier. And his role in my placement is he co-facilitates substance abuse groups with me. So for the first few groups, I have just sat in group with him and kind of observed how he runs the groups and had a chance to watch that. This last group, he actually let me lead the group for about an hour in one of them and then an hour and a half in the other. So I had a chance to kind of see what it was like to facilitate and be in the the therapist position there. With that, he's teaching me how to lesson plan. So we have a calendar that tells us which topic is the topic for that day, for that group. And so with that, I can get online and find resources and be able to plan a lesson that can engage when we have the extra time. So the matrix model has like a very outlined curriculum, but there is a little bit of time where we can throw in some different activities. So that's what I'm working on right now. He's also my supervisor, like I said, and then I put safety net because it's just nice in a group of that like that when you have 10 to 20 people, um, for him to be there for safety if I have questions or if I get stuck or something, he just kind of is able to jump in or I'm able to ask him for help. Engagement and assessment. So I am only in the group therapies. That's all that I am doing at this placement right now. And so for that, I'm doing that on a micro and a macro level, I would say simultaneously. So micro because I have to engage with these clients on an individual basis and an individual level in order to be able to create a safe space in the group for them to feel comfortable to open up. But then also on a macro level because these groups are within an inpatient facility. And so there's like a community in that inpatient facility in itself. And so I have to be able to engage with the community as a whole, but also these people as individuals. And one of the ways that I am trying to and am planning to engage on a better level, I guess on a deeper level, is through some group engagement activities. And then assessment. Right now, I'm kind of assessing silently as I'm observing and watching, and then conferring with Mike during our supervision so that I know for sure that I'm understanding the situation correctly, I'm evaluating and processing the situation correctly. And then also, as we assess these situations and we talk about them in supervision, we do have the option, if we need to complete referrals with an individual. So say for instance, we're in a group and an individual is disclosing that he has had multiple traumas and he's really struggling with getting over that, but he's not yet in the individual trauma therapy, then we would have the opportunity to talk about that and kind of discuss how he would benefit from that, and then further refer him within the agency or out of the agency if he is needing that extra treatment. My personal goal for this internship is to be able to plan and facilitate a group on my own from start to finish. So these groups are 3 hours long. And so I just did an hour this past week, and that was really nerve-wracking. And it was harder than I thought it would be to keep the conversation going and to stay engaged, especially since we're on Zoom. And so my goal is to be able to plan and facilitate one start to finish for the whole 3 hour increment on my own.